Welcome to Backstage with Geoffrey Morrissey. I'm your host, Geoffrey Morrissey. This is the highlight of my Boston calling. CHVRCHES is joining me today. Guys, how are you today?
We're good, thanks. Thank you for having us.
Of course, and just so that way our listeners can keep track of the voices, would you mind introducing yourselves?
Hi, I'm Martin.
I'm Lauren.
I'm Ian.
So I can't wait to talk about Love Is Dead. It's such a great album. I feel like one of the best places to start though is with the last track of Every Open Eye, which is Afterglow. I've given up all I can, and that line I feel like introduces Love Is Dead, where it's almost asked like in Love Is Dead you're asked to give up even more. So I just wanted to ask if you guys wouldn't mind walking me through a song like Afterglow.
I think that started as a demo on my computer on my laptop, and it was originally intended as a kind of introduction to this, like it was kind of a Euro disco thing. It wasn't very good, but the introduction was really good, like that front end of the song. And it was something that just came to our minds towards the end of the process for the album, that we should maybe try something with it, and Lauren went away and did all the lyrics. I think it really connects to the melody in a special way. Saying that, I haven't heard it for a while, not since we stopped playing it. It's cool. It's nice that you brought that up.
Oh, thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. And then, Lauren, I want to read something that you had said on the album title. To me, it's about the death of empathy, I suppose. Some days you get up and 100% agree with the title, and then there are other days where we emphatically don't agree. I guess that's what it's all about, questioning and trying to figure it out. And now that you guys have had some time to sit with this album, have there been sort of any questions that you've been able to work out or come to any answers, whether it be, you know, everything that's going on right now, or just something as simple as, hey, next record we don't want to do this, we want to try this, or something along those lines?
I think thematically, unfortunately, the word's only gotten shitter, I think. So I was like, I don't know. Like when the record came out, I think some people were like, oh, an album that's about like empathy, that's so lame. And then now I'm like, really? Is it? Oh, maybe. So I don't really know if any of that stuff is figured out. But I don't know. I feel like every time you make something, you should be trying something different. So the first record, we didn't even really know. Not that we didn't know we were making a record, but a lot of the stuff was written in quite a long, protracted manner, and that, like, after that we would go in and write an album for an album campaign. So we did 2 in Glasgow, and we did one half in New York and half in Los Angeles, and I don't know, I feel like that's part of the arc of the conversation, but I don't think we would do that again necessarily. I feel like figuring out what it is, taking the time and then figuring out what it is you want to do and how you want to do it is how you make stuff that feels honest, or like not just like rehashing the same themes over and over again. So I don't know where we'll go, but it'd be interesting to figure it out, I guess.
We're all excited to be along on the journey, that's for sure.
Maybe it'll be cheerful. I doubt it, but it might be.
Who knows? Who knows? Speaking of cheerful, y'all collaborated with Matt Berninger on this record, which is, for My Enemy, one of my favorite voices. Love when y'all do I Need My Girl together. That's a great song.
And their new record is really great.
Oh, and all the different voices that they're able to feature on that too.
It's beautiful.
It's been one that I've been loving to listen to. And then obviously Greg Kirsten as well, great producer there. What do y'all look for in a collaborator, to someone to sort of bring into the process? Is there a criteria or things that work well in general?
I think it's really at the base level, it's kind of just a suck it and see thing, just trying on different personalities and different ways of working. Obviously, it helps if it's somebody who, you know, that we're drawn to, or vice versa. But really, it's just like it's something that becomes apparent really quickly if there's a chemistry. And with us, like, it's always about chemistry. It's all about instinct and, you know, what feels right in the creative process. So yeah, that's pretty important.
Yeah. And then the chemistry with Greg, obviously, must have been there, because that was the first time y'all kind of brought a producer into the writing process. For lack of better words, was that intentional, or was that something that you guys were writing the record and, you know, he just happened to be able to add some stuff to it?
I think it was our initial intention was just to try out a session or two with Greg and see if there was anything there, and it sort of blossomed into more by accident. We took more sessions, we wrote more songs, and we continued to get excited about what we were doing with him. But it's funny how the people change, because over it's a year since the album came out, and now when I think about collaborating with someone, I don't necessarily feel like it's right to do that at this point. So even to see that progression is cool. I loved everything we did with Greg, but I don't think I'll be rushing out to collaborate with anyone in the near future, because I guess you change over time, you know?
Yeah, like I feel like that's kind of what it's about. It's about communicating with each other and then trying to be like, well, what do you want to do in this moment? And I don't know, I think at that time we were like, this is very exciting. Like for a band that comes from where we come from, literally nobody gets out of that city. And if you do, like you don't get the opportunities that we got. So we were like, well, why don't we try different stuff? And that's not the same as handing off your creativity and your control to somebody else. But we were like, well, what would happen? You'll never know if you don't try things. And I feel like we made a record we're proud of, but why try the same thing again, you know? Try something else. So we don't know what that'll be yet, but yeah, I don't imagine we'll be in a basement studio in Los Angeles, but who knows?
Who knows? Yeah. Well, perfect. And then one of the things I wanted to ask y'all about is, you know, especially using the medium of pop music, y'all are able to ask some big questions, one about the world, and also sort of examine your own lives in the lyrics, in the music. What was it that drew y'all to pop as an art form originally? What keeps you coming back for more, sort of within the genre, if that makes sense?
Difficult question. Who wants to take it?
It's a good question.
It's a good question. This is like one of the most interesting interviews we've done in like a year and a half.
Really? Thank you so much.
I'm like, this man has thought about his questions. He's not like, where's the V from? And I'm like, wow.
I listen to pop music like I listen to any other like extreme form of music, like metal or even jazz or classical. Like pop music to me is like, it's it's the most stimulating music that there is out there. When it's vital and when it's interesting, it's like the sum of all my tastes and more. But I don't really just listen to that either, you know. It's just one of the many things that make up your musical language. I'll keep coming back to it so long as I enjoy writing songs and I enjoy listening to them, which I don't anticipate I'll stop doing that anytime soon, you know.
Yeah, totally.
Well, and I think like there's a directness to it that's quite challenging as people are trying to write. You're trying to write something that actually means something, and how do you do that in a context that is a lot more direct and straightforward in some ways than other genres. But I think I don't know, I kind of like the idea that you can use pop music as a medium to say things that are interesting or like challenging to some people, not challenging to everybody, but like, you know, when I was a kid, I loved like Cyndi Lauper, and my parents were always listening to like Annie Lennox and the Eurythmics and things like that, and like that's pop music, but it's weird as shit. I don't know if I can swear on this. It's weird as
you
beep.
Absolutely can, yeah.
So, and I think that's probably what we're more inclined to gravitate towards, I suppose. Just a lot of big words.
And then one of my last questions for y'all, your covers are something that I always enjoy, whether it be Stay, EXO, somebody else. How do y'all approach covers, and what is the process like for picking those?
Mostly like radio stations make you do them. So.
Oh, good. Lots
but then
of
I think it's about trying to figure out a way to make that fun or interesting. And those three, at least we were able to choose songs that we really actually like in the original format. So how do you take that and transport that into your world? There's definitely been times where there's been a short list of songs and you're like, oh man, that's a tough one. I don't know what we're going to go for. But at least those three, I really enjoyed all those original ones, and they were really great artists. So you're like, you don't want to tread on those toes, but how do you put that into our world? So yeah, it's fun.
Totally. And I know that you guys have to go. I'll make this my last question. Who are y'all listening to right now? Who's been spinning in the bus?
Like I got the new Charlie Bliss record.
Oh yeah,
it came out last week, so I've been listening to that a lot. And we're playing a show in New York with them in the summer. So that's what I've been doing mostly.
Let Lucy Ver. Listening to some of him. A bunch of stuff, lots of old stuff as well. Always the Beach Boys. Always.
Can never go wrong.
Yeah. I've been on a mad Radiohead thing for a while the last couple of weeks. Going through all of those records. It's good.
Listen to a lot of electronic stuff, like some older kind of rave and disco stuff, and Fortet, a lot of his new stuff's really interesting as well.
Well, there we go. Well, if you're not listening to Love Is Dead by CHVRCHES, stop what you're doing right now. That band has joined me today. Guys, this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for the time.
Yeah, thank you for having us.